Hey everyone, it's Matt, and today I'm going to try breaking Nubby's number factory. This is my second video on this game, and I'm doing a second one because, well, in my first video I did okay, but I didn't win any games, and I found it a little unsatisfying. And I actually got quite a few comments requesting a second video, so I thought I would try out a different mode in the game here, where it is much easier to kind of bend and mess with the rules of the game, and in a way, break the game. I've actually seen people break it so hard that the game crashes. Not sure we'll be able to do that tonight, but we'll see what we can do. So, let's get started. So, I will do a quick explanation of how the game works at the beginning here, but I won't be going quite as slow with it as I was in the first video. So, if you want some very meticulous explanations, you can go back and watch that one. Otherwise, if you want to see something a little faster paced, this video might be for you. So we'll choose classic mode here. And now we get to choose our supervisor, and this determines the rules of the game. And you can unlock different supervisors with different effects, but the one we're going to use here is called Baloney Tony. And what makes Baloney Tony interesting is the item and perk triggers are randomized at the start of the run. Don't question it. What that means is the items you can buy to increase your score and change the rules of the game, well, some of them might be much easier to trigger than they otherwise would be, and you can sometimes combine them in ways to make very out-of-control chaotic effects happen, which will make your score go crazy. So let's give it a shot and see what we get for the randomized perks. Zone 1, the factory. So Nubby's number factory, if you've not already seen it, is a game where you launch this guy Nubby here into the pegs, and every time you hit a peg, the peg is cut in half and you get that number added to your score here. And each round you want to get a certain score before Nubby falls out the bottom and the round ends. And when Nubby goes through a number 1, that's when he just falls right through, so you'll see. Alright, round 1 all good. And of course we got restocks. The number of restocks is the number of times you passed the score on that round, the number of times you multiplied it. So if you get really high scores, you get lots of restocks, which means lots of extra lives here and lots of extra money you can spend in the store. So let's aim for the 8 here. Alright, time for round 3. We will aim for the 16. And we will use this button to jumble these because I want to hit the 16s that are at the bottom there. Alright, time for Nubby Mart. So here's where things might get interesting. Sometimes Baloney Tony is not that special because the perks triggers are not very useful, but let's see what we got here. So Cactus will be triggered by hitting the wall 5 times, not that useful. Finger Puppet, if the item in slot number 6 triggers 4 times, not that useful here either. So Disguise Glasses, every half a second 2 random pegs will be popped. That will be very effective early on here, and will help us build a sort of well, I don't know what the word for it is, a sort of set of triggers that can be triggered very quickly, hopefully. So that's what I'm going to buy right now. And so you'll see every half a second 2 random pegs will be popped. Obviously nothing too dramatic yet, but things can get crazy if we get the right items and perks going. But for now, it does make the early rounds much easier. For here, we're going to get the Gold Rush, which will give us extra money when we hit the Gold Rush pegs. Not quite. And as you can see, the Gold Rush pegs don't need to be hit by Nubby. They can be triggered by the disguise glasses. So that's useful in another way. Alright, time for the first perk. So the Warlock perk, every 3 seconds, will force trigger a random Nubby dies item again. And the Chaotic perk, every 2 seconds, will force trigger one random item. I think the Chaotic perk will probably be a little more useful, since I don't plan on getting Nubby dies items. Because those can only be triggered once, generally. Unless I get some items that trigger in weird ways. Alright, what do we got here? Every time 2 pegs are halved, Nubby will emit a burst of nuclear waste, or a peg will if he's not around. Poopabot will trigger every 4 times the item in slot 6 does. And Friendly Rock, not too useful here. We got Cactus again. And the Flamethrower, every time Nubby hits the wall 3 times. I'm going to go for an upgrade to the disguise glasses. So every half second, 2 random pegs will be popped twice. Alright, let's keep going. Not quite. Alright, time for another Gold Rush. Let's hit that 128. Not too shabby. I've had some baloney Tony runs where things get out of control very quickly. This is not one of those, and I can't guarantee things will get out of control at all, but there's a much higher chance of that happening with baloney Tony. And I might keep playing till I get something crazy, even if it's not this game. Let's see what we got for the black market here. The key capsule will give us his key, so the next time we get to a shop, it'll be a black market with some extra weird items. So, that was a bad shot. Let's hit the 128. Okie doke. Not the greatest setup here, but let's see what we get. That'll do it. Another Gold Rush. Quite a few Gold Rushes this game. Okie doke. And here's the black market. So, again, black market items are corrupted, meaning they can't be force triggered, but they often have very powerful effects. So, if the item in slot number 3 triggers 5 times, it'll reduce the round goal by 30%, but have all pegs. Not very useful. Toy Fish. If 2 pegs are doubled, 2 random pegs will copy the number of the first peg popped. If this item is in slot 7, 4 pegs will be affected instead of 2. This might be useful if I get a peg doubling trigger. Okay, I like this one. So every time 2 pegs are popped, meaning every half a second, it will mark a random peg, and when that peg is marked, all pegs that have the same number will be doubled. And if no pegs have the same number as the marked peg, a random peg will be doubled. So this will make some very, very high numbered pegs very quickly, in all likelihood. Alright, let's see what happens. Yeah, already getting some pretty good scores there. Nothing insane, but it's a start. Got a power outage round here. Nothing to worry about. And let's see what we got for the perks here. Got a Warlock perk every 3 seconds, a Nubby dies trigger. No. The Springy perk. Whenever 3 pegs are doubled, it's a 5% chance to force trigger the item in slot number 5. Well, this will be useful with the pointer in a way, but only 5% chance means it's probably not going to work that often. But I think it'll maybe be better than the Warlock. Time for Zone 2, the Stratosphere. is satisfying to watch, but it could be more satisfying. Let's see if we can make that happen. Obviously, at this point, we don't have to worry too much about what we hit first. A lot of it is kind of random. Alright, another Nubby Mart. So when 20 pegs are popped, we'll get a flaming skull. Might be useful. I don't know about plastic tree. I'm gonna re-roll these. So, of these, I think I like the broken socket. So every half a second, not only will we get these pegs popped, it will create a chain bolt that pops a cluster of pegs. And I'll unlock the 5th item slot so I can put one in it for the springy perk. I'm gonna go for the broken socket there, because that'll probably be more powerful there. Let's give it a try. Alright. Getting some decent numbers here. The peg doubling means that they last longer here. Oh yeah, 112 restocks. So our goal here is to break the game. And the game will let us know when we've broken it. You'll see, hopefully. Alright, another hydrogen bomb peg for a mega explosion. Very nice. And let's hit the 32K. Not that it really matters with this setup. So what do we have here? If the item in slot 1 triggers 10 times, it will force trigger all X pegs popped items. Well, that might work towards compounding the pointer. Well, it won't be able to force trigger because it's corrupted. So the pointer I cannot force trigger, but it is the only item that would be affected by this, for now at least. And then the peg fully popped. If slot 1 is empty, a random item from Nubby Mart will appear in slot 1 and force trigger 3 times. I'm gonna get this one because it might be useful later for an item that is not corrupted but can be triggered by the X pegs popped trigger. Alright. This is very much up to chance in some ways. Item in slot 6 triggers 4 times. It will summon a sharp shot that will pop a random peg 10 times. So if we put the disguise glasses in slot number 6 and have this will effectively trigger itself continuously, which should make for some crazy scores. There's also the E-block again, the flamethrower, and the cheese house. Okay, I'm going to unlock an item slot here, 2 of them because I have a bunch of money. I'm going to put the disguise glasses in slot number 6, and I'm going to buy jacks. And I will put the broken socket here. I'll swap it out so this has a 5% chance of happening even more. We'll reroll to see what else we have here. Every half second we'll double a random peg. That will be useful. And tardigrade might double some random pegs as well, every 2 pegs popped. And yeah, I'm going to upgrade the broken socket so it'll pop a cluster of pegs twice. And the tardigrade will go here. And we'll look at the cafe for some extra potential upgrades. I'll get some extra money from the hot dog and the strawberry. And I don't need the pickle rat right now. I'll get another strawberry. And I guess why not get a pickle rat? And I'll use a chip to get some extra life. Well, no, to reroll the cafe foods again. And I'll get a kebab perk. The kebab perk, whenever Nubby dies, has a 50% chance to force trigger the rightmost item in your inventory. And I will make that the jacks. Maybe not, actually. I'll leave that there for now. But these can stack, so could be useful later. I'll eat the kidney bean to stock a random rare food item. And the noodle will mimic the effect of the most recently eaten food item. I'll try that. Avocado will give us 1% extra odds for rare items. And I'll eat a strawberry. Alright, let's keep going and see what happens here. Oh, very nice. Still going. Clear the entire board. Ultra score. Alright, so let's do that again. As you can see here, there is an end button. When your round goes on long enough, you'll get that, because sometimes you can kind of get stuck in infinite loops, or you just don't feel like waiting around when you have such a high score that it doesn't really matter. So you can hit end to end it early. I broke the game. Didn't quite break it, but it does want to tell me I broke the game. So that was the game's definition of breaking the game, but we can go further. Maybe. I want to see if I can make the game crash. I don't think I can because I haven't done it yet, but maybe I will. And I don't know if it's been patched to crash less easily, so we'll see. Let's go for the 524k here. Not that it matters at all which peg I start with at this point. But this is very satisfying to watch and listen to, of course. Nubtastic. Super score. I want to get 9,999 times. That's the max it'll register here. Still going. The way these keep doubling each other is keeping it alive. There we go. Breaking the game again. 9,967 restocks. For whatever reason, the restocks won't it won't restock 9,199 times. It'll basically be that number minus however many rounds you've played for the max restocks. I don't know why that is. As you can see, we have several quadrillion points here, still going up. We don't need to wait around for this though, so I'm going to end it here. I want to get to the next store here, see how else we can break the game. So, poop might be useful now because this is going to be triggered quite a bit. Item number slot 4 triggers twice. Maybe useful. Cheese house, I'm not really doing halvings. I don't know about evil goose. I'm gonna reroll. I will upgrade kazoo so it doubles a random peg twice. I will upgrade jacks so it pops a peg 15 times. And for now I might as well get a flamethrower. Yeah, a flamethrower. And we'll check the cafe. I'm not going to eat the lentil because I don't need to randomize my items. Get some more money from the hot dog dog. Get some random items. The tart lard. upgrades the rightmost item in your inventory and deletes the leftmost item. So since I don't really need the flamethrower, I'm going to swap it with a kazoo so we can delete it. And then I will use this to upgrade. Well, can the pointer be upgraded? I don't know. Let's find out. Yes, it can. Very nice. Alright, so that'll do double the effect. Or something like that. Alright, let's put the kazoo and the pointer back. And we'll reroll with the chip. Eat some strawberries. And have another chip. And another chip. And a kebab. And a hot dog. Alright, let's keep moving on. Alrighty, you can end now. Well, we don't need several septillion points or octillion points right now, so I'm gonna end right there. Now, let's see if this one ends. I might have to just keep ending the rounds for now. It's kind of funny how quickly that jumps up. I keep breaking the game. Very satisfying to watch and listen to. This might get a little monotonous if we're trying to go for the end of the game, but let's see. Might get some interesting stuff going on later. Alrighty. So, Evil Goose, Flaming Skull, Jax. We could get another Jax and its upgrade. Why not? And we'll reroll here. Ah, the Lobster Claw. Every time 20 pegs are popped, every item in your inventory gives points equal to a random peg's number. Why not? I don't know if I'm gonna get rid of the tardigrade here, I think. It feels like the least useful one right now. Maybe I'm wrong. Alright, Lobster Claw there. And yeah. We'll eat a hot dog, a strawberry, a kebab, a strawberry, a chip, a kidney bean. I'm going to ignore Dave the tomato here. And the croissant perk. When the highest peg is popped, it has an X% chance to force trigger the item in slot 3. For each remaining life, gain 25% odds. Why not? We'll eat a chip here. Another hot dog. Another kebab. And another kidney bean. I don't have enough money for the noodle, so moving on. Things are getting faster. Alright, holiday cheer time. Look at all those triggers going off. Oh wow. These pegs are refusing to die. Look how colorful this is. I'm getting several undecillion points here. Well, if I wanted to really crash the game, I probably could just leave it sitting here until the number climbs too high, but it's climbing a little slowly for my liking. Let's see if we can make it climb even higher. Maybe something in here will help with that. Alright, 3 pegs doubled if Nubby is still alive. 5, 50% chance to force trigger item in slot 3, or the lunar perk. Item in slot 6 triggers 4 times. It will force trigger the item in slot 6, 1 time for every 7 rounds you pass with this in your inventory. So that will probably be more useful. Yeah. Okay. Going for that. Zone 3, the moon. Not quite as crazy as the last one. Right. I'm not sure what caused all those pegs to survive last time. There are ways to guarantee that pretty much with certain combinations of items in Baloney Tony mode, but I do not have one of those right now. That's not my setup. Let's see what we get in the next shop. Alright. I'm thinking we'll stick with what we have right now. Well, maybe not actually. Squirmy might be useful here. Every time 2 pegs are popped, I'll get 5 points for every time this item has been triggered during this round. And I feel like if this triggers enough, it'll get pretty crazy. And it has a 1 in 50 chance to metamorphosize, which I actually don't know what that means yet. So, I'm thinking the lobster claw might have to go. Maybe I'm miscalculating with that, but I'm gonna say, yeah. We'll see what happens with this. I don't know if this is the right slot for that. It might not matter with some of these perks. Alright, what's in the cafe? Not eating Dave. Get another kebab. Not eating Dave. Some strawberries. We'll eat the avocado. And move on. Alright, so it has metamorphosized into Flutty. When 2 pegs are popped, it gives 3 points for every time this item is triggered during this round. And as you can see, it's triggering with the numbers going up and up, but they're only in the hundreds, which means it doesn't make too much of a difference when we're dealing with numbers in the decillions. But that number is climbing pretty quickly. Not quickly enough, though. Let's keep going. Okey-doke. Time for a booger party. Look at all those boogers. Alright. It's hard to see it here. I don't know if it's visible with this effect going on or if it's even happening, but you can get pegs to a score that just says max on them, if I remember correctly. It'll just stop increasing in number. But as you can see, that was decreasing after a certain point. So 3 pegs had 4 triggers all items, or every 3 seconds a Nubby dies item. Neither of these is going to be very useful, so why not do the cheesy perk in case I get a halved item, a halved trigger item. Alright, I'm not going to wait around for that. Peg Mania. Another kazoo. Can't upgrade that. How about the squid? 30 pegs popped. Nah. I'm gonna stick with what I have. And buy some stuff in the cafe. Another croissant work. Strawberry, pickle rat. Kebab, kebab. Kebab, kebab. Look at all those kebabs. Alright, next up. Oh, I just noticed the pickle rat actually gives you rerolls in the main shop that round. For some reason I thought it was next time. I just saw the X3 on the shop. I gotta keep that in mind for the next time. You learn something new every day. Alright, that's enough. Say cheese. That's enough of that. I want to get to the next upgrades. See if we can make these numbers go insane. These numbers aren't quite as crazy anymore. Hopefully it's still enough. I'm not sure if that was just bad RNG or if my build is somehow not holding up in the 50s. Around 50, 55. Alright, let's go for another key just in case I want a corrupted item. As well as whatever this is, since I have the money. I will skip the pants. Can I upgrade a Floody with Squirmy? No, I can't. So I'll skip that. And I really don't need any of this money, so I'll skip that. Alrighty. Crazy. That's really all I need. 2 times. Another booger party. Lots of boogers flying everywhere. Ah, there's those high numbers again. Peg Mania. Oh yeah. Time for the black market. So we got wingless fly. Probably not. I got Jake the Snake. No. Clayman guy. I've never seen this one. Item in slot number 3 triggers 5 times. Summon 2 clay balls. If a clay ball bounces off a wall or a peg, it will count as a Nubby hits wall trigger. Clay balls die after 2 bounces. I don't have any hitting the wall triggers, so that might not be very useful. I don't think any of these will be too useful, but I can reroll. So, I already have an upgraded pointer. I don't want mannequin head. And the Ouroboros will not be very useful, so that's going to be a no for the black market. Oh well. Time for Bedrock Bash. This peg can only be popped once a stone layer has been popped 2 times. Not that any of that matters with this setup. Alright. Candle perk. If 15 pegs are popped. I'm gonna go with that. Alright. Time for the Sun Temple. Really just fancier background. Pretty much on autopilot at this point, unless I find some game-changing perks. Seems pretty unlikely at this point though, all the way around 63. But at the very least, we'll see the end of the game, unlike the last video. I probably won't crash the game entirely though. Super score. None of these will do. Why not more kebabs? Avocado, kidney bean, pickle rat. Let's use these rerolls. Item number 3 5 times. Nah, well, maybe actually. Maybe. It might be a good replacement for Flutty here. I'm gonna try it. But should he be in slot 3? So I want the item in slot 3 to be the one that triggers the most. That would probably be the pointer here. So I'll swap it with the pointer. Let's see if we can get a bunch of crazy straws flying all over the place. And none of these will do for now. Ready. Not nearly as many straws as I was anticipating. So, something is trying to force trigger the pointer. I think I mixed something up here. I'm not a very smart person, so let's put these back in this spot and see if anything changes. Ah yes, many more straws. Can we get even more? Probably not, but maybe I'm wrong. To be honest, my brain is not working extremely well today, so I don't have the brain power to figure out the optimal combination of things here. All I know is that the numbers are really big, and that's enough. And the game says I broke the game, so who am I to tell it it's lying? Zombie perk or speedy perk? I'm going with the zombie perk. Every 20 pegs popped. Alrighty, up to round 70. Getting there. Alright. Let's see. Let's go reroll that. Not liking any of these. Let's eat some food. Shish kebab, chip, etc. Is very satisfying to eat these foods. The sound of the cash register and the eating and the various other sound effects are nice. We have a couple rerolls here. An inflatable dolphin. So when the item in slot number 6 triggers 4 times, it summons a beach ball that emits 5 streams of confetti when it pops. I don't know. Would that be useful? My gut says it's not, but maybe I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments if so. Alright, yeah. This will have to do for now. We're almost at the end of the game though. So let's see if we can get there, with or without crashing the game. Number mania time. Definitely on autopilot at this point. And that's all I need to see. Divine score. Alrighty. Yeah, I feel like I've seen pretty much all of it at this point. Maybe there's some combination I've not considered that would be better, but whatever it is probably isn't enough to crash the game. Let's see what this ultra rare food item is. Star fruit. You can jumble pegs in 1 additional time per turn. Really don't need that at all, but why not? Some tasty pickle-rats. 3 shish kebabs. And we'll reroll, why not? Nothing new. Alright. Easy. I don't remember how many rounds there are in the game. It's like 80 or 90 something, I think. Or maybe it varies. I don't know. I never actually paid attention to the number at the end. And I don't think the game tells you at the beginning how many rounds you have to beat. Yeah, there's the check mark on the coming up next thing, so I believe it is 80 or 81. Inflatable dolphin, no. Yeti might be useful. But do I want it? Yes, I will replace Broken Socket Plus with Yeti. Why not? Every 2 seconds, this item emits a God Ray. Nah. What'll this be? Donut. Duplicates the most recently obtained perk. Why not? Yet another shish kebab. More strawberries. More kebabs. More rerolls. Alright, moving on. Let's see if the Yeti makes much difference. Not really. Mega super score. Alright, the final boss. Apocalypse. Blood drops will rapidly rain down from above and have the first peg they come in contact with. So, I'm just going to let this one go until either the game ends or the game crashes. Unless it just sits here for an inordinate amount of time, like several minutes, but we'll see what happens. Good luck, Nubby. so hard. Several octillion, non-decillion points. Still going. We got these two pegs holding out, even in the blood rain. Yeah, either this is gonna end soon or it's gonna climb too slowly to crash the game because I've gotten into many undecillions before and we're not even in a single one. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's give it a moment. Lots of very satisfying things happening on the screen right now. Is this climbing any higher or any faster? I don't think so. I think it's a pretty steady climb. I can't see the numbers on here, probably because they're changing so fast. If it gets past undecillion and doesn't have a significant uptick in speed, I'll just end it there. It did pause for a moment like it was having trouble calculating. I wonder if that's a sign that I should keep it going. Probably not. I'll give it a few more seconds while I do the outro of this video. So, once again, I would like to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. And, yeah. Hope you're feeling more relaxed or sleepy or are already asleep right now. And I will see you next time with another video. Probably not of this game. Don't worry if you weren't a fan of the first video and you somehow watched this one to its end. Well, no more Nubby after this, most likely. Unless I have some crazy idea to make this game dramatically different.